Friendship ended with Lion King. Now Zootopia is my best friend. Get out of here, you goddamn animal. There you go. You goddamn animals. So, it's been a year since the release of the greatest film yet made. I say yet instead of ever because I'm quietly hopeful that the inevitable sequel/reboot will be even better. Personally, I'm hoping for even more great world building, more ridiculous action set pieces, more lovable characters, more great comedy, and at least one cute lesbian couple. What? Judy's neighbors share a hyphenated surname despite being two different species. We got the groundwork already. But as much as I love to talk about gay furries, let's maybe leave that to another day. Instead, rewind to those other two things I said. Characters and comedy. See, I wanted to make a video about Zootopia pretty badly, but I realized that a traditional style review wasn't the best approach. Sure, I did that for The Lion King back when that was my favorite movie, but back then I was ripping of the nostalgia critic kind of because I didn't know what else to do? I like to think I've evolved past my primitive ways. Instead of a broad review, let's do something a little bit more interesting. A piece specifically analyzing my favorite aspect of the movie, the relationship between Nick and Judy. Not like that. While the approximately 5 billion adorable comics the internet produced of their potential romance did win me over to the idea, I myself do not actively ship them. In fact, when the film ended without them outright kissing or whatever, you know what I felt? Relief? Partly because more movies need to be able to end without slamming the leads together lips first. Of course, it wouldn't be very contrived in Zootopia. They have remarkable chemistry, romantic or otherwise. And that's what I want to talk about. Something really satisfies me about this relationship and its progression, even though it's quite archetypal and something we've all seen before. In fact, modern Disney heckin' loves this plucky female protagonist, older male cynic combo. While Big Hero 6 broke the trend, in the last batch we've had Rapunzel and Flynn, Anna and Kristoff, Judy and Nick, and most recently Moana and Maui. Do Vanellope and Ralph count? Kinda. So why do I love the Zootopia version so much? Is it just because they're talking animals? Probably, but let's pretend it isn't. All of these duos, hell, all of these movies in general, are humorous, and I think that's a big factor in the success of their writing. While they're all great, and this is of course very subjective, I myself think that Nick and Judy are both the most likable and the funniest, and I don't think that's a coincidence. The humor is central to how the audience is able to connect to them, but also it's fundamental to how they're able to connect to each other and grow so close in such a short and frantic amount of time. As I said, it's by no means unique to them, but I think they provide a good case study of how humor can be used to further a relationship in writing. Oh, and while I remember, I am not withholding spoilers. If you haven't seen Zootopia yet, go fix that. You'll love it. If you're on my channel, it's up your alley. For the rest of us, let's begin. We'll skip right ahead to their first meeting. Judy sees a fox and racially profiles him as sneaky, a judgment she rightfully feels guilty about despite turning out to be, right. Nick's hustle hits a roadblock in the form of an obstinate elephant, but his plan is saved by some idiot rabbit cop. He then proceeds to smoothly con her out of $15, a move as slick as it is dickish. Talking outside, the well-meaning but sheltered Judy comes out with this immortal, cringe-inducing line.
I just want to say you're a great dad and just a real articulate fella.
Ouch. Without missing a beat, Nick replies,
Ah, well, that is high praise. It's rare that I find someone so non-patronizing.
This is the first line that I want to draw attention to. As a con artist, Nick isn't a criminal. He's a criminal who interacts daily with richer citizens. He probably hears this kind of garbage every single goddamn day. I'd wager this is halfway between a defense mechanism and a game he plays to keep himself entertained. Humor is fundamental to Nick's identity, and this is our first indication of that. We also see him use humor as a coping mechanism in far more serious situations. He vents his fear and frustration using quips.
Now, I can tell you're a little tense, so I'm just gonna give you a little personal space.
Consider also this line, an overlooked favorite of mine.
Great, we're dead. We're dead, that's it. I'm dead, you're dead, everybody's dead.
It may seem outlandish to come out with witticisms when you're about to die, something that only movie characters would ever do, but for the record, I think this is more realistic than it may appear. It's often said that one of the reasons Spider-Man is always joking around is because he is a terrified teenager and it helps take the edge off. I think it's fair to suppose that Nick is the same. Either way, humor is fundamental to Nick. Back to the hustle.
You want to be an elephant when you grow up? You be an elephant. Because this is Zootopia. Anyone can be anything.
All right, give her a little bye-bye toot-toot.
Judy discovers Nick's profession and quickly gets hostile. Again, we see Nick actively use humor as a tool, here to keep Judy at a distance. Sometimes literally.
Well, I stood up for you, and you lied to me. You liar!
It's called a hustle, sweetheart. And I'm not the liar. He is.
Hey!
When that doesn't work, Nick stops using humor as a tool and starts using it as a weapon. He starts to belittle her and undermine everything she's achieved, but he does it through jokes. This is the scene where he starts to refer to her as carrots, which is intended as a cruel reminder of her supposed natural place in the world, but it's just a cute little nickname. It would be unreasonable of her to react too strongly, and Nick knows that. Likewise, the speech he gives her about how she, and indeed everyone, can only be what society allows them to be is peppered with witticisms and delivered like a stand-up comedy routine. I admit this is a stretch on my part, but this might be a conscious choice on Nick's part in order to make it easier to crush this naive little hick. Given later revelations about Nick's character, we know that he does actually want to live like Judy. In an ideal world, he wouldn't be a con artist. But the world is not ideal, and Nick knows this better than most. This is heavy stuff that has affected him personally. It would be pretty hard to yell at a stranger about this and not lose your cool. So Nick doesn't yell. He smirks, he jokes, he does little dances, and he leaves with his external persona of a heartless, unflappable jerk untouched.
What is your problem? Does seeing me fail somehow make you feel better about your own sad, miserable life?
It does, 100%.
Are you sure about that?
But Judy and the plot have other ideas. Nick is roped into helping her find Otterton. At every turn, he smugly impedes her investigation with various zany shenanigans, constantly mocking her.
Oh my god.
What? What?
The velvety pipes of Jerry Vole.
He pulls out every trick he can to slow her down. You want to talk about humor as a weapon? Look no further.
Hey, Flash, want to hear a joke?
No!
But here's the thing. Judy fights back. And she doesn't fight back with her police authority or her mighty, mighty rabbit legs. She meets Nick on his own playing field and proves that she can not only keep up, she can stay ahead.
It's called a hustle, sweetheart.
What's more, she's clearly enjoying throwing his smug attitude back in his face. Nick isn't the only one with a sense of humor. This moment is significant.
The thing is, you don't need a warrant if you have probable cause, and I'm pretty sure I saw a shifty lowlife climbing the fence. So you're helping plenty. Come on.
The official script says this is the moment where Nick begins to respect his opponent. Of course, it doesn't take much in the way of literary analysis to pinpoint when they become friends. That's the rainforest scene, where Judy, tiniest action hero hops, dramatically saves Nick's life. Nick, undiagnosed psychological trauma wild, has difficulty processing why anyone, least of all her, would protect him like that.
Carrots, you saved my life.
Even in this completely unfiltered moment, this genuine connection raw with adrenaline, Judy responds with humor.
Well, that's what we do.
Or tries to, anyway. Now we hit the good stuff. Judy saved Nick's life, so he saves her career. What's more, she's finally unlocked his tragic backstory.
I was small and emotionally unbalanced like you once.
Har har.
No, it's true.
And here is my favorite moment of characterization in the entire film.
Nick, you are so much more than that.
Humorous writing is one thing. My favorite thing, actually. But maybe what makes this relationship stand out to me is this one crucial moment of hesitation. Another film, especially another kids' film, would say, that's it, they're friends. They saved each other, he revealed his backstory, no more barriers. And that would be fine. But Zootopia does not do fine. Instead, while Nick now likes Judy, that doesn't mean he's comfortable with her. He can't discard all his anxieties in one day because no one can. Instead, the moment gets too real and he deflects. And we all know how.
Boy, look at that traffic down there. How about we go out to Chuck in Traffic Central? Chuck, how are the things looking on the jam cams?
Judy knows he's just joking to avoid the subject, but by chance, his anxious blabbering leads them to their next clue, and it leads us to our next significant interaction. When in Bellwether's office, Nick and Judy begin to develop a great comedic back and forth. But I'm going to overanalyze the heck out of two lines in particular. Nick uses his knowledge of the city to find where their targets have slipped away to, leading to this exchange.
Look at you, junior detective. You know, I think you'd actually make a pretty good cop.
Oh, how dare you.
Here we see how they begin to build a rapport. We know from the last scene that Nick doesn't want to move too quickly. So Judy slows down and reaches out with something he's more comfortable with. Humor. When Judy says,
I think you'd actually make a pretty good cop.
she's expressing a genuine sentiment, but the way she delivers it couches it in humor. Likewise, Nick's response of,
Oh, how dare you.
is joking, but an acknowledgement of that sentiment. He doesn't want to be like, psh, whatever, lady, because that'll either hurt Judy's feelings or prompt her to discuss the possibility more seriously, neither of which are things he wants. He also doesn't want to be like, oh, wow, really? You think so? Because that is more emotional vulnerability than he's prepared to show. He likes Judy, but they aren't close. So instead, he opts for gentle sarcasm, which is a safe middle ground. He's acknowledging the sentiment, but from a distance. He can play it off as a joke if he has to. Then all the stuff at Cliffside happens, including more stress jokes from Nick, and the most concise example of what I like to call the Nick Wilde name warning system.
Carrots! Pops! Judy!
This, in turn, leads to the press conference. Oh boy. Judy gives Nick an application form to become a police officer, and returns the pen.
In case you need something to write with.
This is still under a wry veneer, but that veneer is getting pretty thin. Heartfelt. And then she goes and spoils it all by saying something stupid like predators are inherently savage, it's in their biology. After sticking her lucky rabbit's foot right in her goddamn mouth, Judy returns, all smiles. But Nick's good humor is dead. Judy realizes she's messed up somehow, as though the abrupt and dramatic change in lighting wasn't enough of a clue. Pay attention to how this line is delivered.
I just stated the facts of the case. I mean, it's not like a bunny could go savage.
This could have been delivered in a couple of different ways. Like, it's not like a bunny could go savage, or it's not like a bunny could go savage, but while it's defensive, it's not angry, nor is it uncertain. Through her expression, her intonation, her body language, Judy is trying to resurrect the humor. She's hoping that Nick will just laugh it off with her. But he won't. His burgeoning trust in Judy has been destroyed. For Nick, nothing about this is funny. Exit stage right.
You think I might try to eat you?
Watch this, Lise. You can actually pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half. And now.
Sad, sad, droopy ears. Okay, bridge scene. We're doing this. So Judy's apologizing, and she's crying, and her tiny voice is wavering, and that's all okay. And then Nick still has the pen. Oh God. Hold it together, Snap. Okay. So, he reveals that he recorded her apology, and he makes a joke about it.
Don't worry, Carrots. I'll let you erase it. In 48 hours.
This is Judy's moment of pivotal change. She hasn't just realized her flaws, she's laying them bare in front of Nick, begging for his help. She's completely vulnerable, and he's making a joke? Isn't that terrible? No. I don't think so, at any rate. There is a serious discussion to be had here, one that they should have as soon as the danger has passed. But we know that Nick is bad with emotional vulnerability, and we know that he uses humor as a kind of substitute. By making a joke now, Nick is saying, more concisely than he ever could with words, that he forgives her. Then he tries to diffuse the emotionality of the situation by putting a new joke forward.
Are you just trying to steal the pen? Is that what this is?
Judy laughs and plays along, but this is gentle and supportive. He's not just awkwardly trying to get her to shut up, he's supporting her as she cries. This is a genuine attempt to cheer her up, and the moment, they become best friends. Whew. Now that I've analytically broken that scene down with a cold academic eye, maybe I can watch it without catching feelings. Next stop, the grandma scenes in Moana. Whew. The bridge scene is the emotional climax of the film, and there's not too much to report on in the scenes afterwards. It is perhaps worth noting how easily the two can slide into a two-person comedy routine after their respective solo acts. Friends.
Boo! No explosion! That sucked. Wow!
That explosion was awesome!
What explosion? I didn't see it. Do it again.
Let's take a quick detour to examine something that's unrelated to the central relationship, but still an efficient metatextual use of humor. On his first day at the ZPD, Nick gives Bogo some sass.
Ah, you should have your own line of inspirational greeting cards, sir.
Shut your mouth, Wild.
Bogo seems unimpressed, which is fair enough, given that he's the goddamn chief of police. But then he comes out with this.
Hobbs. Wild. Parking duty. Dismissed. Just kidding.
Man, this whole movie is worth it just to hear Idris frickin' Elba say that. In any case, this exchange of good-natured ribbing clearly indicates that Nick's gonna be fine in his new workplace. Of course, how he fares as a police officer would be very interesting to, say, read about in shooting him. But the film can end here with the audience safely inferring that he's gonna be okay. Finally, we'll take a quick look at this last exchange between Nick and Judy, and I do mean quick because it's fairly rapid. First, another friendly jab.
So are all rabbits bad drivers, or is it just you?
The retaliation comes via good old-fashioned physical comedy. Nick swags into a callback.
Sly bunny.
Judy reciprocates.
Dumb box.
Statement of ambiguous romantic meaning.
You know you love me.
Judy replies with yet another callback, using something Nick taught her to affirm whatever it is you think he's expressing here.
Do I know that? Yes. Yes, I do.
Boom. They've officially become one of those completely insufferable friend pairs / couples with a wealth of personal in-jokes. That's the true sign of a solid relationship in this day and age. Memes. I'm not even joking. A shared sense of humor is crucial to any relationship, platonic or otherwise. So, in conclusion, humor is fundamental to how Nick copes with his awful, awful life. He uses it as a mundane tool and as a weapon to avoid interpersonal contact. However, once Judy starts getting close to him, it becomes a medium through which they can safely interact. It's not the entire basis of their relationship by any stretch, but it is a powerful force for bringing them together in such a short amount of time, and leaves us certain that they have nowhere to go but up. Alright, let's wrap up here. Let me know what you thought. This video was an experiment for me, but I'm very glad I tried it. Do you want to see videos similar to this one? Are there other topics you want me to talk about, or would you prefer in future for videos to have less of my voice instead of more? By all means, leave a comment. Tell me what your favorite Disney duo is. Tell me what you want to see in Zoopal 2. Tell me about your long-form, slow-burn, Wild Hops Coffee Shop AU fanfiction. I'm Ironic Snap, and Zootopia is beautiful this time of year.